to around the 1700s, many churches would appoint one of their members to be the tithing man. And the tithing man had a very important function in the life of the church. You see, it was the job of the tithing man to preserve order during the worship services. And so the tithing man usually would sit at a table in the front of the sanctuary, usually right in front of the pulpit. And from there, during the worship service, he would have a watchful eye on everyone in the congregation to make sure that they behaved themselves. In particular, it was the tithing man's job to make sure that everyone stayed awake during the sermon. No easy task, as you may well imagine. But to help the tithing man with his job, he was given a long pole with a large hard knob at the one end. And if at any point during the service he saw a man or boy doze off, he would get up from his seat, take the pole, walk down the aisle, and poke the person in the head to wake them up. And usually they would hit them hard enough to leave a bruise on the forehead. If you were a woman or a girl who fell asleep, you got off a little bit easier, because the tithing man would use the other end of his pole, which usually had a foxtail or a rabbit's foot attached to it, that they would jiggle in your face to tickle you awake. If one of you would like to become the tithing man for our church, you can let me know after our service today. But again, the real purpose of having a tithing man was to try to get people to pay attention. And getting people to pay attention is a large part of the message that we found here today in this reading from the book in the New Testament known as 2 Peter. Pay attention, 2 Peter says. Pay attention to what you're doing with your lives. The reason that the author of 2 Peter apparently felt it necessary to write those words was that he was writing for Christians toward the end of the first century, and many of them seemed to be losing heart. It seems that for many of them, their attitude was, okay, as Christians, we believe that God is the creator, and we say we believe that God is in control. But look at the way the world is. Does it really look like God is in control? And in many respects, we might share those same sentiments. After all, here we are in Advent, in this supposedly holy time of year when we're getting ready to celebrate and honor the birth of Jesus, the Son of God, in Bethlehem. But how do we go about doing that here in our country? Mobs of people crowd into department stores, scrambling to grab the last low-cost TVs and toys off the shelves, and in the process, punching and fighting and shooting pepper spray at each other. At Christmas time, we're good at appearances. We turn our homes and our neighborhoods into virtual winter wonderlands, with the trees and lights and candles and all the festive decorations gleaming off the new fallen snow. But then, before you know it, January comes, and reality returns, and that winter wonderland gets suddenly turned into gray-colored slush, as piles of crumpled, ripped wrapping paper litter the sidewalks. If God is the creator and really is in control, why do we always seem to go back to where we started? If God is the creator and really is in control, then why is the world the way that it is? That was a question that was on the minds of many people back in the first century. And that's a question that's on the minds of many people even today. So how does 2 Peter respond to that? Well, 2 Peter responds by saying that despite how things may seem, God truly is in control. And because God is in control, we can have hope that someday God is going to make all things right. But until that day, 2 Peter says, while we're waiting, we're encouraged to be at peace. But what exactly does that mean? What does it mean to have peace in our lives? Out in California, there was a woman whose license plate was Peace. P-E-A-C-E. Well, one day, though, she was driving along a narrow mountain road, and she got stuck behind a slow-moving pickup truck. And mile after mile, she was stuck behind that truck until they finally got to a flat and wide spot in the road where she began to blow by the pickup truck. But as she got on the left-hand side and got beside the truck, she rolled down her passenger side window, reached in the back seat for an aluminum baseball bat that was there, and began swatting it in the direction of the truck. When that didn't seem to accomplish too much, she threw down the bat and picked up a can of air freshener that was sitting on the seat and threw that at the truck driver. Later on, when a state trooper pulled her over, who had seen what she had done, she explained that she was just frustrated because she was in a hurry to get somewhere and didn't like being behind that slow-moving truck. When the officer asked her about her license plate that said Peace, she said that she had gotten that some years before because she thinks there's too much violence in the world. Especially this time of year, we see and hear that word peace quite a bit. We get Christmas cards wishing us peace. We hear carols on the radio talking about the peace that can be a part of our lives this time of year. We see banners wishing peace for the world. But for many people, if you ask them to define peace, many would probably say something like this. Well, peace is the absence of war. You have peace when people aren't shooting or bombing or killing each other. But from a biblical point of view, peace means so much more than that. As some of you may be aware, the word for peace in Hebrew in the Old Testament is shalom. And shalom means much more than just the absence of war. Rather, more broadly, shalom means the way the world is supposed to be, the way that God wants it.